So good morning, children. Today we have to start the first one chapter of your geography book. That's the book I'm having, geography. And geography first chapter we are starting here. In the first chapter, the first one chapter is given to you, that is resource, right? That is resource. So here I am telling you the main points about the chapter. Here under the resource, first I would like to inform you, or I would like to tell you or explain you the main concept, meaning of the resource. So simply when we talk about the resource, that term resource, what is the means of resource? So what is resource? Whatever the things, objects, goods we are using in our day-to-day life, which is having utility, which is having value in our life, is called resource. Okay? So I tried to make short notes for you so that it will be easier for you to understand the chapter. So simply when we talk about the resource, here we are talking about just here you can see this. Okay. So first one question of this chapter, the first one important heading of this chapter is resource. What is resource? Right? So I told you last also that different type of things, object, whatever we are using, having utility, having value in our life is called resource. Here you can see that water, electricity, rickshaw, vegetable, textbook, etc. Similarly, number of things are there which are of course having utility. Water for drinking purpose, for our household work, electricity to run the different type of machine, devices, equipments at our home, outside the home, rickshaw to go to school, vegetable for our fooding purpose, textbook to learn and to get knowledge, and different type of other things are also which are having utility, which are valuable for us and which are fulfilling our need. Okay, these are resource. So it's clear. So when we talk about resource, it means anything can be used to satisfy our need is a resource. Okay. So simply when we talk what is resource, anything that can be used to satisfy a need is resource. We can say utility or usability. These are the two important terms. Utility and usability is what makes an object a resource. Fine. Next thing is that utility. So whenever we talk about the utility of any object, so this utility gives it a value, and value means worth. So whatever the things or object we are having utility, that utility consisting with the value means some worth in our life. So accordingly that object will be converted or will be pronounced as resource. Okay, so clear what is resource? Resource is whatever which fulfill our needs is called resource. It could be anything. Now next thing, some resources have. If we talk about resource, so some resources have economic value, some do not. For example, metal may have economic value, but a beautiful landscape may not. Okay, understood? So means everything sometime may not have the economic value. You know economic value through which we can earn or we can have the economic benefit. So a metal can have economic value. How? That metal is used to make the different type of utensil, to make the different type of machine. Then it is simply sale in the market. We purchase it. So of course it is having economic value, right? But if we talk about a beautiful landscape, it is not can be considered as economic value, but both can be considered a resource, because both the things, metal also or metal made things, sometimes very important to fulfill our needs, our deeds, and sometimes for our mental peace we visit to such type of areas or hill station, or to visit such type of beautiful places, landscape. So that is also fulfilling or satisfying us or giving us mental peace. So these also consider a that is resource. Okay, so that concept also related with the resource, that resource, some resource may have economic value but some may not be. Now another concept is about types of resources. Now if we talk about types of resources, in that type of resources we have a simple classification. A basic classification of resources: natural resource, man-made resource and human resource. Okay, so natural resource, very simple, which are obtained from nature, gifted by nature to us, like air, water, river, or whatever the things we are having in nature around us, that all things are gifted to us by nature, is called natural thing. Secondly, man-made, understood with the name, that made by human, made by man, is known as man-made thing. It could be any house, it could be a furniture, it could be any type of device. So whatever the things formed by or constructed by or that is invented by, that all thing will be considered under the man-made thing. Okay, and these things are converted as a resource, means that resources are converted as a for the more utility with the help of tools and technology. So these are the two important things, tools and technology. With the help of tools and technology, human convert particular things into more utility or more useful resource. And third one, this is second, man-made resource, made by human. And third is human resource, means human in itself also consider as a resource with our skill, ability, knowledge, etc. Because all these resources are useless without the human resource. Okay, so human resource are very important. Without human resource, these things are not having value. Understand? So types of resources: natural resource, given by nature; man-made resource, made by human; and human resource, human himself with their skill, ability and knowledge, is known as human resource. Now the important thing is that time and technology. I told you there also, when we talk man-made, so tools, time and technology played a very important role. So any substance with the time, by using the technology, converted into resource. For example, discovery of fire. Earlier it was not known for all, but later on when it was discovered as a fire, it was used in a many ways for the cooking and so many other purposes. Discovery of wheel. Before it, when human were not known with the wheel, so after the discovery of wheel, it was used in a different manners for the transportation. Then at present time you are seeing that how the wheels are used for different purposes, right? So that's why similarly so many things are there. So substance, only fire, only wheel is as a substance, but with the time and technology it is converted into resource or created its value. Fine. Next thing is that natural resource. Already we learn about the types of resources: natural, man-made, human resource. So here we are talking about the classification of natural resources. Generally man-made resources are, we are not learning here under your course as a classified form, that all the things made by human is called human-made resource. Human himself with their skill and ability and knowledge is known as human resource. But natural resource we classified. So here we are talking about the distribution or the classification of that natural resources. So number one, natural resource. First classification is based on the development, right? So the first classification of the natural resources is based on development. So this is actual resource and second is potential resource. Now what is actual resource? Actual resource are those resource whose quantity is known. We know about the quantity. कितना है हमारे पास, वो quantity हमें जो पता है, actual में कितना है जो हमें पता है, that is called actual resource. Okay, like the coal mines in the different areas and the gold mines in Africa, and similarly other mine areas or any other type of stock about which we are known, about the quantity if we known, is called actual resource. And potential resource, which entire quantity is not known. Okay, of course these resources are also known for its power, but we are not known with the entire quantity, or still that quantity is not in a proper use. Okay, this is potential resource. Like uranium in Ladakh is still not in a proper use, and we are not known about the entire quantity. So such type of resource is called potential resource. Then second classification of the natural resources is on the based of origin. Okay, what the second classification? Second classification of natural resources is based on origin. So that first biotic resource, second abiotic resource. It's you have learned already in your class 6th, 7th also. In science also you have learned the biotic and abiotic resource. So biotic resource simply living, which includes plants, animals and all the living organism. All the living things are under the biotic resource. And abiotic resource consists with the non-living things. It may be soil, rock, whatever the non-living items you will have will be categorized under the abiotic resource. Okay, biotic relating to living living things, and abiotic is related to the non-living things. So this is the second classification on the based of origin. Then third type of classification of the natural resources is based on the distribution. So based on the distribution is localized resources and ubiquitous resources. As with the names it's clear to you. Localized, it's mean which present locally in a particular area. It's not present everywhere. For example, copper is available in some particular areas or the region of our country. Iron mines are also in a limited areas. Similarly, gold mines are in a very particular areas of the country or the world. So not expanded all over the world equally. Okay, so this is localized resource, which are available or present locally in a particular area. Or ubiquitous resources are which resource, or you can say such type of resources which present all around the globe, which are universally present. All over the universe it is present, like air, water, or the solar energy. Okay, it is present everywhere. You can see solar energy everywhere. You can see air everywhere, all around the country, all around the globe. Different countries of the world can be seen air, water, solar energy, right? So these type of resources which are present everywhere is called ubiquitous resource. Is it clear? So that the another type of based on distribution, localized in a particular area, ubiquitous in which is present everywhere. Next is natural resource based on its use. So other classification based on its use. So on the uses or utility, we can see it as renewable resource and non-renewable resource. Hope you have learned this in class 7th also. So renewable resources are that could be renewed soon in a limited period of time. What are renewable resource? Which could be replenished, which could be renewed in a limited period of time, like the water energy, wind energy, or you can consider the solar energy or these resources which can be renewed in a short period. Okay, we can use water again and again and again. Windmill means wind energy, through the windmill we are using again and again and again. So, and similarly solar energy is in an abundant amount and we are using it continuously. So such type of resources which are in abundant amount and can be renewed in a short period of time called renewable resources, जो replenish होते रहते हैं. Second is a non-renewable resources which are very limited and it takes again million of years for its formation. Okay, and such type of resources is called the exhaustible resource also. Why exhaustible? Because if it exhausted at a once time, it takes again million of years for its formation. यानी कुछ ही सालों में दोबारा बन जाए ये पॉसिबल नहीं होता है. Million of years लग जाता है इसकी formation में. Like the coal, oil. You remember you learned last year also metamorphic rock. Right? So metamorphic rock after the many of the years. So Similarly, the non-renewable resources, which take, firstly it is very limited amount or will be exhausted very soon, and again it takes million of years for its formation, like coal, petroleum, oil, and similarly other type of some other resources which are very limitedly available. So we need to use such non-renewable resources in a very conservative manner, sustainable manner. And lastly, stock resource. Stock resource, what are stock resource? Stock resources are amount of resources available for use. Means the resource which are available over the earth, and which amount we are is available easily for the use in front of the human being, and we know that it is available in stock, is called stock resource. Okay, amount of resource available for use, जो हमें पता है कि है हमारे पास. So that is stock resource. Is it clear? Again repeating with you, clearing again the distribution of the natural resources. So first, natural resource you learn on the basis of development, actual resource and potential resource. Second you learn is the distribution of natural resource based on origin, biotic resource and abiotic resource. Third, the natural resources based on distribution, localized resource and ubiquitous resource. Next you learn natural resource, the classification of natural resource based on its use, that is renewable resource and non-renewable resource. And lastly we discuss about the stock resource. Is it clear, all of you? Now the important thing is along with this classification is distribution. So the distribution means as resources are not equally available all over the earth, all over the world or all over the country, right? Somewhere and in some region we may have enough amount of particular mineral or particular resource, but at the same time same resource cannot be available in other area. So this is distribution. So this distribution is depend on some particular various parameters. So the distribution is depend on various parameters. I forget to write here parameter. Various parameters like LIKE, like terrain, climate, altitude, etc. So these are the three major: terrain, climate and altitude. According to the terrain, according to the climate, according to the altitude of that area. Terrain, you know that which type of land is. It is a flat area, plain area, plateau area, this is the desert area or the coastal area or the mountainous part, which type of land. This is terrain. Climate including with the temperature, moisture, rain, etc. And altitude is height from the sea surface. Okay, so these three parameters are very important, which affect the distribution of any natural resource. Then finally, after that in your book is shown to you. Here I am showing or going with the book. These all I discuss with you as in a form of flowchart for a better understanding. Then if we talk about the human-made resource is clear to you, made by human being. Human resource, that human with their skill and ability is called human resource. For example, a doctor is also a human resource. If we talk about engineer is also human resource. If we talk about a teacher, that is human resource. So human with their skill ability is known as human resource. Okay. Then last point is conservation of resources or conserving resources. So when we talk is about the conservation of resources, in that conservation of resources, we have to remember the two basic points. First of all, conservation of resources or resource conservation consisting with the 2 points, that is using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. Okay, what is resource conservation? Using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. Second thing is that sustainable development. So balancing the need of resources and also conserve them for the future is called sustainable development. What is sustainable development? Balancing the need of resources and also conserve them for the future use is called sustainable development. Okay? And this sustainable development includes 3 main feature objectives. These 3 main objectives are, when we talk about sustainable development, it means to avoid the wastage of resources. Number 2, to conserve resources for future. And third, avoiding harming to nature. Means we need to use the resources in such a manner that it couldn't harm to nature, couldn't harm our environment. Okay, so these 3 points are very important. What the 3 points are? Number 1 is that avoiding the wastage of resources. Second, conserving it for the future generation or future use. And number 3, avoiding the disturbance in environment or disturbing nature or the environment. These are the 3 basic points related to the sustainable development. Is it clear? So it is about the resource conservation. And when we talk about the resource conservation or conservation of the resources, we should remember it about the concept or the theory of the 3R. I have written here that what is the theory of 3R? That R is considering with the 3 terms, that R, reduce, R, reuse, R, recycle. Okay, so in this way, of course, we can take a better step for the sustainable development, for conserving resources. How? Reducing the use of resources means use of resources according to need. Second is reuse. If it can be reused, better is that we reuse it. And third is recycle. Like the plastic, metals or some particular minerals could be in the process of recycling process, could be recycle again and can be again in reuse. Right? So in this way, reduce, reuse, recycle. These are the 3 simple steps which anyhow promote to the conservation of resources, resource conservation, or we can simply pronounce or I can say that sustainable development is also easily could be implemented with this concept or the theory of the 3R. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, so this is about the complete chapter of resource development. So hope you will get a help by this short summary of the chapter, and I will send the picture of it. So here I am banding the chapter, this first one chapter, and the second part of relating to this chapter also I will post to you, that will be related to the question answers. Okay dear student, so whatever the written work will be instructed to you, do it in your copy, and rest all these notes also you write in your rough copy only. Okay, this is the summary of the chapter. These all I have written as in a form of flow chart as a major points or the notes. It will be easier to learn. Okay, so we'll be with you again with the question answer of this chapter. Okay.